أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إلهنا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب قلوبنا بالقاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآله وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين روحي وأرواحنا وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. قال الله الحكيم في القرآن الكريم: وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة قالوا وتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr al-Zaman, recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil faraj. We promised that we address some of the questions regarding the philosophy of majalis and programs and mourning for Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. Last night I mentioned the first one, that what is the reason that we have to mourn for Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. And the most important reason that we can have, there's some logical reason we could come up with, there are some explanation that we could have, but ultimately the most important reason that we mourn for Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam is the teaching of the infallibles. That's the most important reason that we can count on. We can explain it, we can try to understand it as much as we can. But ultimately, the final reason, the most important reason is because the Imam, the leader of the Muslim Ummah after the Holy Prophet, prescribed this form of commemorating the legacy of Ahlul Bayt. We followed that footstep, we followed that tradition. And that's the most important one. I received a list of some of these questions. And one of those questions is regarding the chest beating, and I will come to that as well. But tonight I want to address another important introduction to answering these questions. And that is the idea of doubt. Being a skeptic about everything that we do. Doubt by itself, by nature, it's not dangerous. Because to reach certainty, to reach yaqeen and assurance, we have to pass the stage of doubt. It's something that is unavoidable. We have to deal with doubt. But what is dangerous is to be stranded in the state of doubt. If somebody is on daily basis confront with doubt in everything, even in basic matters, we're not talking about beliefs, even in our obligations on daily basis, such as our prayers and our ibadat, if somebody is involved in extreme level of doubts, we call that person what? Kathiru shak. The one who doubt excessively. And most of us probably, we know what we have to do with the Kathiru shak if somebody doubt on a daily basis. So in 5 daily prayers, they doubt in every single one of them. That's a sign. On daily basis, you doubt on the number of the unit of your prayers. On daily basis, you doubt about your wudu. Did I do the wudu or not? Or about correction. Was my wudu proper and correct or not? On daily basis. Once in a while happens, we're out of, we are not focused. We're busy. Our mind is somewhere else. It happens that we doubt. But someone, if is excessively doubt, what is the best solution for them, Islamically? Ignore, right? Ignore it. Don't act upon your doubt. And if somebody do actually, is not a quality. So if you act upon your doubt after you diagnose yourself, or you're being diagnosed by someone who actually understands it, if you act upon that doubt, you're committing a sin with following a doubt. Why? Because you're wasting your time and you're wasting resources. And Allah doesn't expect you to do that again. Why I say this? We have people in their basic ibadah, they are suffering from this excessive level of doubts. They make wudu more than one time, only because they doubt. And they make it seem very hard for people to practice as well. Because if somebody look at them and they're not that religious, or they don't believe in Islam, when they look at this person doing multiple times one thing over and over again, it has a bad image, and also personally has a bad impact on your own character. So Islamically, you must ignore that doubt. The spiritual doubts, or let's say doubts in belief, it has a similar concept, with the exception that you cannot ignore your doubts in belief. If somebody have doubts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence, you must look for clarification. You must find a solution to pass the stage of doubt, any means possible. You can't say, oh, just ignore the doubt, because eventually that doubt and that type of doubts in your belief will impact your religion, will impact the practice of your religion. But this doubt happens sometimes because of what we are exposed to. And that's the amount of false information that is out there. Some of these, I should call them ridiculous form of doubts, are being out there for a while. But because people, they're not exposed to them, it's their first time that they hear or they watch or they listen to this doubt, it seems fresh. One of those doubts that false information that is out there. Out there means in internet or in Wahhabi channels or any means, especially those who claim they're intellectuals and they talk about this, is when it comes to Sayyidina Shuhada alayhi salam's sacrifice, they said, why you commemorate a fight between two people that they were fighting over a woman? This doubt had been out there, ridiculous accusation, no historical basis for that. They simplified in their own understanding. God knows where they took that information from, but they very elaborately, it's a very elaborate lie, very detailed. And again, I've heard this many times, and I learned it here. A key to a good lie is what? I hope you don't know that. I didn't know that. I learned it here. Somebody told me, I said, a key to a good lie is details. You give it details and make it more believable. And that's what happened. People, when they want to make a lie, they don't say, oh, just two people. They give you details. They give you historians. They give you books. You never heard of them, but if it's a book, it must be true. Right? If it's Ibn something, there's an Ibn in the name, it must have been something trustworthy. If there's Ayatollah in it, definitely that's someone. 99% of people who claim that they left Islam, and 99 is exaggeration, over 90%, as much as I know, that they leave Islam or they start promoting anti-Islamic ideology, they claim that their ancestors were Ayatollah. More than 90% of them. If somebody leaves Islam for something else, and these weird sects that we have right now, oh, my dad, my grandfather was Ayatollah. And I'm looking at the number of these people, and I'm just looking for how many Ayatollah we had that they end up in this country. Why is that? And it's a very elaborate system of working. I'm not saying that if someone is a son or grandson of an Ayatollah is being protected from misguidance. It's your choice. At the end, you have a free will. They had a free will. And Imams and Ahlul Bayt and Prophets were not exception either. They chose their path, and their children, sometimes few of them chose their own path. The reality is, when you see a pattern of the same thing over and over, you have to doubt the authenticity of that report. Why I give you this introduction to answer these doubts? Because I can answer one doubt, one question out there. I just said, if you probably didn't hear this, this is a very ridiculous lie out there that very uneducated people, uneducated Muslims, they fall for it. Recently, somebody was shocked. They came to me and said, Sheikh, this is the first time I heard this, and I didn't have any answer. So what did you hear? So this person came to me, and he said he used to be religious, but not anymore. And the reason he left religion was, he said that we were mourning for Sayyidina Shuhada alayhi salam. Then he figured out that Sayyidina Shuhada's legacy and sacrifice was over a woman. It was a dispute over a woman between Yazid and Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And this person is an educated person because he gave me a couple of books and he mentioned a couple of names, and I had no answer. And I told this person, this is probably, if you play by the book, this is one of the first plays in the book. That Imam Hussain alayhi salam and Sayyidina Shuhada's history and legacy and sacrifice. What was the intention? What woman? What fight over a woman? If you look history, Tabari, if you look at Tariq al-Damashq, if you look at all these histories that narrators and historians are Sunni, you will know what is the cause of that conflict between Sayyidina Shuhada and Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Forget about Shia history. It will not be an end for it. I will answer 1, 2, 3, 4. Next year, new stuff come. I said the new stuff, they look at the time and they adapt by the time. So this lie was actually in the old time. And this brother of mine who was very shocked, was the first time he heard it. But for me, I've heard it when I was a teenager, when I was probably 13, 12, I heard this. The modern one is different. The modern one, they said, there is no need for you to cry for Sayyidina Shuhada alayhi salam. And instead of crying for Sayyidina Shuhada, go and cry for the pain of the orphans. And instead of participating in these majalis and serving those who are commemorating the musibah of Sayyidina Shuhada, do this instead of that. And they are very good in wording as well. They try to make it, as I said, very artistic. But the intention behind it is not orphans. I know that. Because if these people know what Sayyidina Shuhada alayhi salam's majalis do for orphans, they will never understand. That truly, month of Muharram and Safar is the time that many poor and needy are blessed, because people come to their senses and they feel responsible. That the rate of crime is going down in the month of Muharram and Safar. That people who go to Sayyidina Shuhada's ziyarah in Arbaeen, many of them, they say we didn't spend even a penny for food and all that. That a lot of charity are being done in the time of Sayyidina Shuhada's programs and majalis. The intention is not to promote charity. The intention is to somehow just place a doubt and a skepticism to these majalis. So good, look for the answer, remove the doubt, but understand it will not be stopped. If you just want to fall for one and another, it is an infinite loop of these kind of fabrication out there. So what I'm saying is, don't research about our faith. No. We must understand why we do mourn and why we have these majalis for Sayyidina Shuhada, why we beat our chest for Sayyidina Shuhada, why we cry for Sayyidina Shuhada. We have to understand it. But after understanding it, these elaborate skeptics, detailed lies must not place any form of doubts. That this is a direction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us to take. And if we ignore it, we betrayed the guidance. That's a dua we must recite. رَبَّنَا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا. That, Ya Allah, after we found guidance, we found the truth, don't let us lose it. Don't let us go away and be diverged from the proper path and direction. So, with saying this introduction, inshallah, I will address some of the doubts that's out there. But eventually, being exposed to a lie, it has an important impact. We don't understand it. You recently probably heard about Facebook plan of censorship of what they call false information or false news, right? And false information, false news, that people, specifically when you have your own circle, when you only see your own view, it's something that bombardment of that false information impact your belief. And if I just consistently am under doubt about my religion, I've seen many of our kids, many books we read about it. We read more books questioning Islam than reading about Islam. It's nothing wrong with reading books who are critical of our religion, but you must have a basic understanding of this religion that is trying to be criticized. But we skip because we said, oh, we are, educated, and we must think outside the box. The first thing we assume is the right way of thinking outside the box is to go and find whatever questions our values, whatever is placing doubt in our mind, which we must be familiar with because we live in a world that people with different opinions communicate and interact with us, but we must have that basic understanding. It's very sad for all of us that a Muslim kid come to me and said, I had this discussion with my Christian friend or with non-Muslim friend, and he or she used more verses of Quran than I knew. That they were quoting one verse after another, that your book said this, your book said this, Quran said this. And I was just standing there and said, okay, I don't know which verse you're talking about. And I have no answer. So there's no expectation for us to be at that level of expertise in religion. But if we place ourselves in the position of discussion and debate, if you put yourself in that position, you must be ready for it. At least the minimum preparation for it. Inshallah. Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. When we look at the Quran, there's some repetition of some verses. Not only in one chapter, but in different chapters. For example, when we talk about repetition, the first verse probably come to your mind is فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ Surah Ar-Rahman. But there's some verses that they're in total different chapters. And Allah repeats it. The story of Adam and Hawa is being repeated in the Quran multiple times. The story of Shaitan, the story of Musa alayhi salam. And when you look at the philosophy behind this repetition, many of our ulama said it's the significance of that specific ayah. Or it's a reminder that don't lose the train of thought when you're reading Quran. This is the same concept that we already discussed. Now we repeat, we give you a sign, we give you ayah that you recall what we said. But what it is about Quran is that all these different stories from beginning, dawn of the time, according to Quran, the story of Adam and Hawa, all the way to the stories regarding the prophets, sacrifice, and those verses that they were revealed regarding prophets' companion. Like لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله, or verses about Battle of Uhud, or verses revealed about Battle of Badr. All these verses, they have a pattern. And it's important to find a pattern. Because Quran has one theme. And that main theme is Tawheed. Biggest picture of the biggest umbrella that we can cover entire Quran is Tawheed. It's inclusive. Story of Ibrahim, Adam, Shaitan, all goes under Tawheed. Then to understand it better about Tawheed, then we have another category, which is prophethood. Then we talk about prophethood. And then we talk about awliya Allah, not only prophets. So that's the way when Ahlul Bayt enter. We talk about Ulul Amr, we talk about the Rasikhuna fil Ilm, we talk about people that they are not messengers of God, but they have qualities, certain level of qualities. And then Allah brings and wrap up everything. So there is a beginning for this theme and there is a conclusion. And that conclusion is Qiyamah. Death and life after death is that conclusion. This principle, you see the entire verses of Quran applicable to this theme. But details, there are details that you can find. There was recently was a book in the last few years about leadership. I think it was around 110 leadership lessons from Surah Yusuf alayhi salam. Somebody just looked for the concept of leadership and tried to drive something and get something based on that concept. And one of these themes that I believe is important for ulil albab, this intellectuals that Quran describes, that they have a level of understanding that is over normal level of wisdom. As I said, ulil albab, they are higher in their level of understanding and intellectuality of over the people that we call aqil, uqala, the wise. They're higher. They achieve a next level. And in that level, ulul albab, they recognize the truth and falsehood, as I mentioned. Not only recognize that, last night I mentioned that when they see a sign, they understand the sign and then they follow the sign. It's not only about recognizing the truth, it's actually about application of the truth. And you will see the word of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. One of them is this, that people that they were facing and opposing Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, there were two types of people. There were a group of people that the haqq and batil was mixed for them. They were confused. Not only Imam Hussein alayhi salam, in the time of Imam Ali alayhi salam, we have the same story. That in the battle of Siffin, actually there were a group of people that they were so confused, and they said, in one side we see companions of the Prophet. We look at Muawiyah's side, there are companions of the Prophet in the side of Muawiyah. We look at this side and we see another group of companions of the Prophet. They claim they have Quran and they claim they have Quran. We're confused. Which path we have to take? Which side we have to choose? There actually this group exists in the history. And there's signs for them. And Prophet even helped them to understand. If you're confused, look which side Ammar is. Right? Look at Ammar Yasir. Look, find him. He will be the sign to tell you that he has that vision, that insight that help you to recognize the truth. But the reality is there is another form of group of people that they know what is haqq and what is batil. But they don't follow it. This big banner printed here, it referred to part of my lecture as a good coincidence. Ala tarawna. Imam al-Hussein salam is saying this. Can you see that people, there is haqq, but la yu'malu bih. It means that they see the truth. These people, many of my enemies, they recognize what is truth. But they don't want to follow it. They don't want to act upon the truth. And they know what is batil. And they know what is wrong. But they don't have that strength, that courage to say no to batil. To forbid and prevent falsehood. And that's a second group of people. And there's a third one, which is the one who recognizes the truth and falsehood and follow it. There's the three options that we have out there. And we are one of these three. There's no fourth possible group. We know the truth or falsehood or not. If we know it, we act upon it or we ignore it. One of the reasons people fell into the confusion, according to Quran and according to history, is psychological warfare. If you look at Surah Yusuf alayhi salam, Surah Taha regarding Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Fir'aun, he did the best way to attack Musa alayhi salam. He didn't find anything else. What he said about Musa, what was the biggest advertisement, or let's say anti-advertisement, psychological warfare of Fir'aun against Musa alayhi salam? Sahir. He's a magician, he's a sorcerer. What he does is magic. And you don't want to follow someone who is into these kind of stuff. When it comes to our Prophet, Sha'ir, he's a poet. Now you look at Quran, you see the beauty of Quran. You cannot ignore the beauty of it. You cannot ignore the sharpness and the strength of this language and the formation of words together. So you call this man a poet. And also, our Prophet was called Kahin as well, a sorcerer as well. Because when he used to recite Quran, especially youth were easily, because their fitrah was not blocked by lots of, let's say, wrong ideologies and sin, they were more accepting toward the truth of Islam. So they used to call him Kahin. He's a sorcerer too. When he talks, this is what they exactly, يَجْعَلُونَ أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي آذَانِهِمْ. That's the best way they try to avoid it. They place their fingers in their ears to avoid listening to Rasulullah. And Abu Dhar was one of those people who actually, first when he was introduced, he wasn't living in Mecca. He came to Mecca to see Rasulullah, and the mushrikeen told him, don't go to this man. If you listen to him once, you're done. You'll change your past. You'll be a different human being. So he went, he blocked his ears, and he watched Rasulullah, and eventually he came to his senses that I should listen. I came all this way for him. I feel this thirst that there is something for me here. Let me listen. And when he listened, you know, specifically about Abu Dhar, when he found the truth, he didn't let it go easily. He wasn't able to even have the sublime level of truth, a subtle form of it. He was very outspoken about it. He used to speak in Mecca next to Kaaba, and he was beaten multiple times, attacked multiple times. And Rasulullah told him, don't go. These people, you did your part. They don't listen to Amr bil Nahy anil Munkar. There is nothing on you. But he used to say, Ya Rasulullah, I can't believe these people don't see it. I'm going not because of responsibility. I go because I'm amazed by why and how these people can ignore it. And the time of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam is the same concept. Even today is the same concept. The introduction I just gave, psychological warfare. That there is no need sometimes to attack someone physically. What you do is you attack their character. That's what you do. For Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, they were not successful because they didn't play that game. But in time of Imam Ali alayhi salam and Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, which we are approaching the Shahada of Imam Hasan alayhi salam, they achieved their goals largely due to this matter. That they attacked the character. When Imam Hasan alayhi salam was praying in his own tent, his own companions attacked him and stabbed him and stole everything. That Imam was forced to come to Madain and get treated for that. The level of one wrong persuasion, false persuasion of people. And ulil albab are the one that they can see through that. That they don't easily get persuaded. They don't get easily affected. How to achieve that? How to have this ability to go, and when you are confused between truth and falsehood, how to achieve that? We have a tradition by our 8th Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa Riza alayhi salatu wassalam, recite a salawat. And also this is narrated in Nahjul Balagh by Amir al-Mu'minin Ali alayhi salam, which Imam Rida alayhi salam is narrating from Imam Ali alayhi salam. The source is Imam Ali alayhi salam. That Imam Ali alayhi salam said, whenever you're confused between two choices or more than one choice, that happens, that you don't know what is right and what is wrong. You don't know what is haqq and what is batil. Imam alayhi salam said, look at your nafs and look at your hawa, your desires. Whatever is appealing, the most appealing to your desires and hawa, that's closest to batil and falsehood. And whatever your nafs and your ego despises the most, that's closest to truth. So if there are situations that there's no tradition by Ahlul Bayt, there's no verse of Quran, there is no reasoning for us to be able to find the right choice, we're totally confused and we have to choose a side. Imam alayhi salam said, look at your hawa and disagree with your hawa. That's the truth you will find. But if you try to find the truth that go along with your nafs, that's the God and that's the truth that you fabricated and you created. أَفَمَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. That there are people that their own hawa unfortunately becomes their God. That my religion, again we heard this, my version of religion is this. The Quran warned us that people of the book made this mistake. تُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. Don't fall for that. Why this happened? Because lack of intellectuality and understanding that the truth is truth regardless of my perception of it. Haqq is haqq. Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam is haqq. 1,000 people, 100,000 people, 100 million people don't see it. Doesn't change this perception. This perception doesn't change the truth. We are living at that time that we have these two diseases and we have to be aware of them. Like every other, scare tactic that unfortunately some people fall for. Zika virus or that one and that one. And we truly try to equip ourselves as much as we can. This is actual disease that is out there. And that disease is when we don't see the truth. وَلَا تَلْبِسُوا الْحَقَّ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتَكْتُمُوا الْحَقَّ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah said what some people do is that they dress haqq in the form of batil. What is truth? They dress it in the form of falsehood, and vice versa. They beautify batil and falsehood that it seems so appealing and beautiful and haqq that they change their position. And people know what وَتَكْتُمُ الْحَقَّ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, and they know what is the truth. Examples for this could be hundreds of examples in our personal lives and our social life, and in every decision we're involved in life. This is a straightforward concept of Quran, that haqq and batil, people manipulate haqq and batil. And the outcome of this manipulation is rises such as Khawarij, is rises such as Safin and Nahrawan and Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam and Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. And our modern time, I don't want to talk about what just happened. You probably know about the power of manipulation. This is not just me telling you. If you are a little bit familiar with the news out there, you will know why this Facebook recent claim of censoring news came to the play. And Allah said, batil and haqq are like water, and when you stand next to the shore, that's the exact description of Quran. So the haqq is like water, and batil is like the bubbles that you see. But it means that first of all, that those bubbles are coming from water. Falsehood doesn't come from outside most of the time. It finds its way to grow from within. It's like those creatures that they find a host to survive. Batil, what it does, first place to look for is truth. People are shocked why this happened after the Prophet, why Muslims stood against Muslims, why Imam Sallallah's story. That's the whole concept of truth and falsehood. That those bubbles actually are coming from water. How we know they're not permanent. They come and go. They change forms. And sometimes, most of the time, people's attention is to the bubble. See how kids have fun with the. If it was water, there's nothing. But you just make some bubble out of water. It's going to be the most interesting for kids. And human beings, we are fascinated with batil. You know, I've heard many questions about shaitan. I didn't hear that many questions about Imam of our time, Imam Sahib. People are fascinated with shaitan, which in some level understandable that they want to know who shaitan is, but sometimes it's, as I said, it's not understanding who shaitan is, just my fantasy. I'm interested about this. It's not an application of my knowledge about knowing about shaitan. No, I'm just interested to know more about it. And in that time, that when batil and falsehood and truth are mixed up, the best way to find the truth, as I said, one is to look your hawa. That's the best solution. If I just care for my own I like this, I love this, that's the only criteria for my decision, it's a very clear indication at how much truth and falsehood is involved in my decision. The more self-involved we are, the more selfish we are. It's a clear sign of that. Even aql, which is a lower level of that, lower level of ulil albab. Imam Rida alayhi salam said that aql has 10 signs, which inshallah I'll do my best to talk about in the last night. 10 signs there's for aql. For someone to be considered aqil and wise, and not a jahil, opposite of jahil, you at least require 10 criteria, 10 quality. The last one, Imam Ali salam said, is when you look at your surrounding, you never consider others lower than you. You never assume you're the best of people. That shows how self-involved you are. If you think you're the best of people, your decision, I know this. And let me inshallah finish with a verse that ulil albab, according to Quran, الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه أولئك هداهم الله وأولئك هم أولو الألباب. Allah said, if you want another quality of ulil albab, who ulil albab are? I just explained the concept of truth and falsehood, and specifically the mixture of truth and falsehood. But Allah said one criteria of ulil albab is they listen to the qawl. Qawl means words. And our mufassirin, there are different layers for this ayah. One layer is that the qawl means Quran. Qawl means the truth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent upon humanity. Quran and the word of the messengers of Allah. Another one, qawl in general means qawl, words. Talking to people. But they yastami'un al-qawl. They listen. فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَ. Then after listening, they choose what we consider ahsan. Hasans mean beautiful. Ahsan means the most beautiful. When you consider something beautiful, means it has form, some sense of perfection. A better one. The one who has priority over other decisions. When you consider something more beautiful, it means it has some standards in your opinion you consider beautiful. Qawl, not only the sound of the qawl and the word, but actually why this word according to you, why this book, why this speech, why this discussion in your opinion is a better one. Ahsan. Going back to what we said, not the one that I like the most. The one that is ahsan. Ulul albab, they choose ahsan. They choose the most beautiful. And these people, according to Quran, they are the ones that they found guidance. Ulaika hadahumullah. Then Allah said, who are these guided people? Ulaika hum ulul albab. The intellectuals are the ones. But this ability to listen, it's a very hard thing to find. Sometimes we sit quietly, but that doesn't mean listening. Doesn't mean listening. Quran said, when Quran is being recited, وَإِذَا قُرِعَ الْقُرْآنِ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا. So when Quran is recited, listen to the Quran. Just listening is not only just, okay, let it play in the background and let your thoughts plays it, go to your own world and your own fantasy. No, listen. And then you choose. فَيَتَّبِعُونَ. Then you follow. Not only do you pick a side, you follow. Now, if you truly believe this is the right thing, this is now time to application. That we listen to a beautiful hadith, and then after we're done with the hadith, I really enjoyed this hadith. فَيَتَّبِعُونَ is the part that sometimes is neglected. And ulul albab, they don't neglect that part. That ulul albab actually must make a decision. How to make that decision? Inshallah, we'll discuss that. That Imam Modarres said, your decisions, if come from aql and wisdom, if you have these 10 criteria, then you are wise enough to choose. Then you will choose ahsan. Because Quran is, as I said, it says the general rule. Ulul albab, intellectuals, are the one that they listen and then they choose the best. They choose the most beautiful. But everybody claim what they choose is the most beautiful. Everybody claim their decisions the best of decision. How we can clarify, how we can distinguish between these two? Imam Rida said, if you have 10 quality, then you're wise enough to choose the right thing. Then you're aqil to don't make an ignorant decision. But if you fail in these 10 levels, your decision will have some degree of ignorance in it, which eventually will have regret. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah give us the tawfiq to become one of the uqala inshallah first and most of all. Those uqala and wise people that actually understand and then apply what they know and eventually reach the level of understanding of ulul albab and intellectuals that according to Quran, ulaika hadahumullah, that is the ultimate level of guidance. These people are the one that they found guidance. May Allah inshallah guide all of us to the straight path and sirat al-mustaqim and protect us from the path of those that Allah sent His wrath and anger upon them. And may Allah bless us with His mercy and with His forgiveness, especially in these last days of the month of Safar, inshallah. Let's say as-salam to Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam and ask him as a wasita, as a mean between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a wasila, to be that honorable connection between us and Him. That He teaches us the best way to connect ourselves. That these tears are not the tears of self-pity. That these tears are not only the tears of compassion, that they are tears of transformation. That when we cry, these tears change us. Somebody asked one of our ulama, Ayatollah Sayyidan, may Allah bless his soul, and may Allah keep him healthy, about the tears, that how we know if the tears for Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, they were not out of riya and show off, they were sincere. And he answered, look at yourself after that process of crying is done. After the tears, start falling. Look at yourself. That reflection, that what this tear did to you. If it's the same person you were in the same exact level and didn't motivate you in any way, there were tears of showing off. You get what you wanted and you're done and you're going back to who you were. But if they help you when you think and when you thought of those tears, that now you're one step closer to the plan, one step closer to the Imam of your time. That you found the courage to actually actualize your potential as a Khalifatullah. Then those tears were sincere. They created a change in you. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us those tears, that they transform our lives, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As you know, it's Tuesday night and it's the night of Dua Tawassul. We recite section of Dua Tawassul for Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam. Don't forget, Dua Tawassul is the best way of connecting ourselves to wasila that Allah designed for us. The 14 infallibles, one after another, they are here as manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. And if somebody is lazy to ask for help, if somebody, God forbid, is ignorant to don't consider this what wasila and this mean, we should not blame anyone rather than ourselves. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah ya Husayn ibn Ali أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها. In the month of Muharram, usually when it comes to children of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, we remember Qasim ibn al-Hassan. But there is another child from the descendant of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. His name is Abdullah. Abdullah ibn Hassan is a few years younger than Qasim ibn al-Hassan and is one of the children and is one of the last shuhada, according to Maqatil, one of the last shuhada in the day of Ashura. We have in Maqatil, when Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam was the last one, he asked, هل من ناصر ينصرنا? Is there anyone among you people to support the family of the Prophet? When there was no call, Imam Hassan alayhi salam said his goodbyes and wada' with his family and left for the battle. There is a location which we call the place of the Shahada of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, is when Imam Hassan alayhi salam fell on the ground. Again, just put our head down and imagine this. But according to Imam of our time, this is a'zamul masa'ib, the greatest hardship, the greatest of turbulences. According to the Imam of our time, is the musibah of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. When Imam Hassan alayhi salam fell on the ground, we have that it was visible to the Ahlul Bayt and the family of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. And Abdullah ibn Hassan, the orphan of the Imam Hassan alayhi salam, his hand was in the hand of Lady Zainab salamullah alayha. When he saw everybody's attacking Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, he started running. He pulled his hand out of Lady Zainab's hand and started running toward the place of Qatliga and the Shahada of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, until he reached the body. And now enemies, this is when enemies are surrounding Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, and you start telling them, "O people, until I'm alive, I will not let you to hurt my uncle." We have that they tried to separate him from Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and he said, "Wallah la ufariqu ammi." I swear to Allah that you can't separate me from my uncle Hussein alayhi salam. And one of the enemies raised his sword, that there is no consideration for this child standing and protecting his uncle. When he struck the sword, Abdullah ibn al-Hassan brought his small hand in front of the sword. Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam saw the hand of Abdullah is hanging to the skin. The blood is flowing on the chest of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Abdullah fell on the chest of Sayyid al-Shuhada. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam is starting comforting this child, that my son Abdullah, don't worry, very soon your father Hassan will come to welcome you. Did they leave Hussein alayhi salam at that moment? Allah is my witness that Hussein alayhi salam was not left alone. Anyone with anything that they had, those who had lances, they were attacking. Those who had sword, they were attacking. Those who had nothing, they found stones and they start throwing stones towards Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, until Sayyid al-Shuhada opened his eyes. وَالشِّمْرُ جَالِسٌ عَلَى صَدْرِهِ. When he opened his eyes, he saw Shimr sitting on the chest of Hussein alayhi salam. And this is when Zainab salamullah alayha is watching. Zainab is the witness of this tragedy. لَا يَوْمْ كَيَوْمِكَ يَا أَبَا عَبْدِ اللَّهِ وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ راجعون. اللهم إنا نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم العز الأجل الأكرم، بكتابك المستحكم وبنبيك المكرم وبأهل بيت المعصومين، سيما مولانا وسيدنا أبا عبد الله الحسين وأولاده وأصحابه. استجب دعواتنا يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. As I said, the best of dua is the faraj of Imam of our time. Let's say inshallah, say Allahumma ajjal waliyik al-faraj. Don't say Ameen. Participate in the dua itself 3 times. Recite it together. Allahumma ajjal waliyik al-faraj. Together. Allahumma ajjal waliyik al-faraj. Allahumma ajjal waliyik al-faraj. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. اللهم ادخل على أهل القبور السرور. اللهم أغني كل فقير. اللهم أشبع كل جائع. اللهم اكسو كل عريان. اللهم اقض دين كل مدين. اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب. اللهم رد كل غريب. اللهم فك كل أسير. اللهم اصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين. اللهم اشف كل مريض. اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك. اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك. اللهم اقض عنا الدين واغننا من الفقر، إنك على كل شيء قدير. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات رحم الله لمن يقرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات.